Hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of Toy Photographers Round the Round Table, and today we kick off with yet another all-star Instagram cast. Joining us today we have Cynthia, aka Starnovelty. We have Scott Bline, whose account is super easy to find as scott.bline.
Hello everybody.
How's it going, Scott?
Tricky to find out.
Yes, and entering third we have Daniel, who you'll find as Unicorn Warrior with a 1. We have Miguel. We've got Miguel here, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly, but he is known as Plasticrealms on Instagram.
Yeah, you pronounce it well. Hi.
Oh, thanks,
Miguel.
Hi.
And last but certainly not least, we have Jared, whose account is definitely no stranger to us toy photographers, aka Sirdork. Hello.
Hi guys.
Hello there.
Hi.
And so, first off, welcome guys. Firstly, thanks so much for agreeing to be part of this series and for joining in episode 2. It really means a lot, and to get to speak to some of my favourite photographers all at once, it's just awesome. So, everyone, how are we all doing? Excited?
I'm so excited. This is so cool.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's just
Setting all this up.
anytime, man. Like, this is, I think, like, I've learned quite a bit from like the first couple of episodes, from like the awesome conversation we had in episode 1 to then realizing I've messed up the audio, and then that kind of destroyed me a little bit, and then having to redo it, and everyone was able to come back. You were able to reschedule for episode 2, and then it's just been such a fast kind of learning curve. But it's been awesome getting to meet all you guys from episode 1, and now we're on to episode 2 already. It's just so much fun. The first thing I kind of want to go on is, how is everyone keeping safe during lockdown? I think I went into this on last one, but is everyone keeping their sanity? Is everyone okay during this really crazy time of this pandemic?
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's I still need to work, and I have my internship, so it just feels normal. Only you don't have to, you can go anywhere. So, but other than that, it's feeling normal for me, because I just have my normal things going around. Yeah.
We're quite different from that, and we're in full. Well, I say full lockdown. We're allowed to go out for like multiple like exercise sessions if we want. If we want to go for a walk, we're allowed to do that. And then if you want to go for a walk again, like another day, that same day a little later, you're allowed to do that. But there is like all these like restrictions in place for social distancing and stuff like that. So
You're saying that you can't go out anywhere, like the stores or anything?
So we're allowed to go out to like shops,
okay,
but that's kind of it. And you're only allowed to like one member of your family to go out to your shop. So you're not allowed So you're not allowed to go like as a family and stuff, and we're not allowed in work or anything like that. So it's a little bit, it's just a super strange time. But working from home isn't the worst.
Here in Spain, we are going to be allowed to visit our closed family from Monday.
Oh, decent.
Next Monday, in 2 days, we are going to be able, only in certain areas of Spain, not all Spain. According to the number of cases of the virus, the less affected areas, we are de-escalating is the expression. We are exiting the confination. In my case, I work as a freelance, so I've been for more than 10 years working from home, so this is nothing.
This is life.
I was preparing for the apocalypse.
What about you guys in America as well? How's it treating you guys?
Yeah.
Over here in New York, it's actually not too bad. I'm not in the actual city, so like things are still kind of normal. Most people are at home. I actually just started working from home last week, so for a while everything was very normal for me, but just less traffic, which was very nice. But yeah, working from home has actually been very nice, and just like whenever I have to go out to the store, everyone's just being very good and keeping their distance. Nice. But every once in a while, you get people that are just acting too normal, and you gotta like run away sometimes.
Know that one.
Everyone's been good here.
What about you, Scott? Are you sort of in the same boat?
Well, fortunately, I'm able to work from home, and like my job, I don't need to be on site to actually do my job. So like these last few months has been, business as usual, just doing my job. The only thing that's kind of been more extreme is that now like I'm on the phone like almost 6 to 8 hours a day. It's crazy.
Oh no.
Just because it's almost like a virtual workplace. It's just that we're talking with colleagues and then meetings all the time. But that's kind of nice too, because you're keeping in touch and whatever. But
yeah,
West Virginia is like, our numbers are ridiculously low, and a lot of that is to do just because a lot of mountains, a lot of space, not a huge population.
yeah.
So this state has been relatively stable in terms of the counts. Like Jared said, people start acting a little bit too normal.
Yeah.
And especially like when you're out like taking a walk and they want to get a little too close, you're like, look, I'm not trying to be rude, but I also am not trying to be sick. So
yeah, exactly. Well, like in Scotland, they've just put out a thing. It's like, well, we recommend you wear a face mask. It's not going to protect you in like any way, but it's going to like help in some way. It's going to like prevent you affecting others if you may have it or whatever. So you kind of have to wear it. Since having to wear that, people just think they're like untouchable. Like it's like, I've just got this face mask on, so I can just go and speak to anyone and just hug anyone. It's fine. I sneeze in it, it's okay. So I mean, some people here are a little bit strange. I'm just thinking that, but it's been not too bad. And we have Daniel, who's actually in like China as well. How's it over there?
The same since January actually for me.
Is it?
So I'm doing this for quite a while already. Slowly the city is opening up again. It's getting a little bit better, but not changing much for me because I'm way too cautious. Even if restaurants are opening, Disneyland is opening, I still don't dare to go into those places. It's way too risky.
Definitely good to stay cautious.
Numbers are good. There's no new cases for many weeks already, but still, you never know because they can only the people that are tested they can put into the system into the numbers, but not everybody is tested. So I'm still cautious and I'm staying home. Yeah, but it's tedious. It's getting really tiresome.
Cool. Well, let's start the episode now with a little less COVID and a little bit more toys and photography. Question one anyway. So for me, toy photography is sort of an escape from like everything. I get to zone out of thinking about everyday life and just focus on taking the shot I've either created in my mind or jotted down in my kind of idea book, but creating something from a blank canvas really. So starting real deep. My question to you guys is, what is toy photography to you? Is it an escape like it is for me, or is it something to fill up time, or something else? Is it like career path, something like that? Cynthia, are you happy to start this one off?
Yeah, that's good. Well, for me, it's more like the same what you said. Like it's just an escape.
Yeah.
It's like well, I'm like really dreamy, and I like to be creative. And when I learned photography, it was like a whole new world opened up, and it's really something like a hobby. It's what I like to do in my daily time, and just to get away from all the daily things. Yeah,
I think it's cool how, like, I'm sure most people can agree, like it kind of will start out as just like some little hobby thing, and then it can turn into that like main escape you rely on. It can turn into a way you express yourself. It can turn into like everything you want to do, and it just keeps continuously evolving. And if you really love it, there's ways to collaborate with people and companies, and you can keep growing on it. It's amazing how it can start from one little hobby to like, to so much more.
Yeah, it's kind of how I'm seeing my account going a little bit more, is because I think I started it a year ago, but just with like my Power Ranger shots, like more and people are asking for more of this kind of same format, and this kind of hobby started turning into a sort of kind of like my own job. It's kind of like I'm like, I need to do this because people want to see these shots, and it's kind of that thing that I pride myself on. If someone wants the story continued, I'm like, I'll just carry on with it because people want to see where I'm going with this thing. So it's quite good having those people relying on me to provide that content. Whether they want it or not, I will put it out. But it's good having people there that really wants to see the next chapter in the story or your next post and stuff. So it's been pretty awesome so far. Like,
it's funny. Like you guys have touched on it. It's kind of similar. It started out just as, for me, like as a goof, I talked about this before. Is like I didn't even know people were doing this sort of thing when I started, but now it's kind of getting into that point where it's like I really start thinking about these shots a lot, even not so much like conceptually, like I have specific ideas that I want this figure to do this thing, but just kind of like these broad ideas and like, kind of, color schemes and whatever. Yeah. And then like, you take a shot and it just ends up, I don't know, just an extreme sense of satisfaction. So I can't say it's like necessarily I want it to be a job. I don't want to ever have to be dependent on this, like, to make money, because then I'm not sure that I'd like it as much. Yeah. But I don't know. I always just enjoy like when you get that shot, and you guys, I'm sure, have that feeling like when you get that shot and you just sit back and you have that like extreme sense of satisfaction. You're like, you know what? I actually thought this out. And it worked out the way I thought. Now it doesn't always work out that way, but it's like I feel so smart right now because I knew what I was doing and it worked like I thought it was going to. So,
that feeling is
it's kind of like a big virtual pat on the back. Like good for me.
I love it, man. I love it.
For me, this is like a dialogue or a conversation with my friends, because I don't have any friend in my area who is a collector or a toy photographer. So I don't have any person close to me to share this afition, this hobby. So all the people I found is on the internet, and sometimes I'm chatting with ones or others, or hey, I have this and you have that, and oh, it would be great this scene of this movie to recreate this scene or whatever. And okay, that could be a great idea for a picture. And I take this picture and I share it. And normally, more of my pictures are related to a person or to a show I'm watching or to something I like. So I'm continue. It's only a way to express myself and to find to continue the conversation with some people.
I love that one, man. It totally brings in like the Miguel, I love that answer. Just especially that it's kind of all about the toy community as well. Being involved within this community that we all kind of, it's one of the most friendliest of communities. Everyone's happy to kind of pitch in a little bit and kind of collab a bit on a series like this, or whether it's assistance in one of your photos or constructive criticism. So yeah, that's an awesome answer, man.
It started with my love of toys, I think. So every time I have something that I like, I need to take a picture of it, and I have it on my phone. But the last thing I do every day on my bed is look at my phone and go through the pictures. So I cannot take everything to bed with me, obviously. So I just look at my phone, the things that I like. I want to be surrounded by those things. I think that's how it started. And then there was a point last year where I was really unsatisfied with my job, just fighting with clients. And then I needed really a creative escape, similar to you. Just being able to do the things the way that I want, and nobody can tell me, no, change the color, do this, do a different lighting, and there would be really no, it would be just my thing. And then this turned into complete creative freedom at one point, and now I cannot stop doing it. I remember there was this one morning, we had 50 posts or something just starting out, and then I had like 20 comments. I was like, what? 20 comments, unbelievable, and it's like, great job, awesome shot. I was like, wow, that's how positive feedback feels. Before.
That's awesome.
Now I'm hooked. Yeah, it's just fun. I can just do what I want to do, and nobody.
Exactly. That's cool. Yeah, it's definitely running like your own, getting to run like your account the way you want it without having to, everything you post is correct because it's the way you want to do it. No one can kind of really say, why have you done that? It's like, well, it's because I wanted to do it. So yeah, that's awesome, man. So I suppose this one ties in loosely with the last question, but I know Jared definitely got this question asked in the OG episode of RTRT. Don't know if that acronym is going to take off, but I hope it does. I know for a fact that people just starting out or have been taking toy photographs for years would love to hear how you guys got into the craft. Were you guys photographers beforehand, or did you just decide to start shooting toys and you haven't done photography stuff beforehand? What's what's everyone's on that. So just to actually put myself into just the answer first is for toy photography. I've done quite a few events and things like that. I do quite a lot of photography events for, you know, companies around like UK and stuff. That's not actually my job. It's just we tried to set up a sort of media business. Actually went quite well, but because of my family life, I had to like get out. The company that I started is still going strong. I just I'm in part of it, which kind of sucks. Toy photography was my next step in my kind of photography. I don't want to say career because it's not a career, but photography hobby. So yeah, journey, man. That's it. So what about you guys? Did you do photography before starting using toys in your shots? Or Jared, do you want to take this one off as I already mentioned your name?
Sure. I actually have no real photography experience before I started this. Right when I started like really heavily collecting, anytime I would get a new figure, you know, I'd post it on Instagram, like, check out this sick new fig.
Yeah.
And then like every time I do it, like the picture became a little bit more and more artsy every time. And then, you know, I became more fascinated with taking the photos than I did actually collecting. And so it all just started revolving around that. And then I just started learning from other people doing it and be like, wow, look at this guy doing this. How do you actually do that? And just really, you know, paying close attention to everything else other people do and learning from it, and then incorporating your own things. And then it just like picks up from there.
It just evolved sort of thing. Oh, that's class.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure that's the way it happened for so many others too.
Oh man, like yeah, I had never picked up a camera really before this. I mean, I didn't even use my cell phone camera. I just was not interested in this stuff, and it really, like, I don't know, like, I guess like what ended up happening was, like, I was at work one day, I walk in and I had a Wild Bill, like a 3 3/4 inch Wild Bill G.I. Joe figure, and like the O-ring had busted. And so I took a picture on my cell phone, and I don't even know why I did it, but I posted it to Instagram. I mean, not that, you know, like my buddies, I'm like, hey, I made up a little story. And that sort of just kind of became a thing. And then just started like slowly learning the camera. And I mean, it wasn't like, you know, like I said, I did not understand like how a camera, we had a camera, it was my wife's camera. Over the years, it's kind of become through self-study and whatever. But yeah, it was, no. I had a photography class in high school, but I'm not going to tell you my age, so that, but I will say that this was a camera that was not digital. This is like real analog film. So like, let's say the parameters have changed in that time. So yeah, this was a long time ago.
Oh, amazing, man. That's class.
Well, I in real life, I work as a filmmaker. I have a small studio that creates digital content for media, for the internet, commercials and stuff.
Oh,
and
amazing.
at the same time, I'm the kind of geek that collects figures. The first figures I started collecting were from 3A. Do you know 3A? This brand are 1/6 figure with real clothes, lots of weathering, like Hot Toys, but more art design, more art than realistic figures. And I started in this by accident, and there was a Facebook group where all the people were sharing pictures of their figures and the collections, and I thought it was great. So hey, I take photos. I can do the same to share my pics with other people. At the beginning, there were only pictures of my figures, just a black background, and so easy. But as I was entering this world, I discovered the crazy people doing crazy things with photography. I started complicating it a little, and at this moment, I think that my hobby looks quite similar to my job. Spending too many hours to prepare a photo and editing and all of this.
Oh, amazing, man. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Well, actually, I didn't do much with photography. Well, except for like on vacation, I took pictures. But I accidentally came across toy photography. I was looking something up. It had to do something with Toy Story. I don't know what it was, but eventually I saw a picture of the Revoltech Woody figure. And I didn't know what it was, so I looked it up and I saw the hashtag toy photography and I was like, oh, what's that? So I looked it up and that's when a whole new world opened up and I thought, wow, that's amazing. And that's when I actually started toy photography.
Oh, amazing.
And before that, I just had, my own camera, but before that I didn't do anything with photography.
It's cool hearing everything kind of take off just from seeing that like hashtag as well, and then
on accident. Because if I didn't saw that Woody figure, I didn't probably know toy photography. So it's really funny how the journey can take you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So if you hadn't seen that hashtag, Starnovelty may not have been a thing.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah, glad you saw it. I'm glad you saw it.
I'm glad. I'm always, I think, relate myself to visual art in some form. As a teenager, I was drawing. The last 15 years of my life, I'm working as a 3D artist, motion graphic artist. So I'm always in the process of creating pictures in some shape or form. And it was about, I guess now 2 years ago, when my best friend got a camera. And when I was holding this Canon in my hands, I realized, okay, I want to learn photography. This is put in my hands. I want to do this just as an alternative to get away a little bit from the computer, not doing everything in 3D, but doing the photography. And I started out taking pictures of my family, my wife, doing portrait photography, reading books, watching tutorials, getting into the gear, learning more and more. And then this slowly evolved into, at one point, into toy photography, because it was too tedious for me to always ask my wife if she has time for a session. And the setup was way too complicated. I would need to spend like 40 minutes to just put a background in our living room and put the lights there, and then the same for dismantling everything. So at one point, I just took my camera and I started taking pictures of my figures, just on the shelf, just like this. And then maybe half a year later, I was thinking about how can I implement the things that I know from my 3D workflow and compositing workflow into photography. Like I know in 3D, I would do it this way. Is there a way to do it with my camera? Yeah, and that's how I developed my style, my process, and I stumbled into toy photography.
Oh, sick.
About started portrait photography, and then over the period of 6 months, I ended up doing only toys.
Oh, amazing. It's interesting that you mentioned style, because that's actually my next question. So a cool thing is, when we go around everyone's Instagram just now, it's crazy that we technically all do the same thing with we shoot toys, but how different everyone's style is. So like, if you were to line up all our photos next to each other, you could tell which person's photo is which, because our styles are sort of so defined. So really, like, how did everyone develop into their style of shooting and editing? Was it like planned, or did it just naturally happen? Like for me, I remember like watching, the likes of like Peter McKinnon or Matti Hapoya and things like that on YouTube, and they'll go into finding your style and things like that, and I just didn't understand what that was, especially like shooting outside and things like that. Is like, how can you have a style of shooting like a mountain and or like even like hills and stuff like that? I just didn't understand it. But then when I started my kind of adventure into toy photography, I think I found my style fairly quick, with like the dark kind of Power Ranger shots, and kind of everything for me is just dark and probably oversaturated and things like that, but I like those shots. So that's how kind of my style got from knowing nothing about developing a style outside of toy photography, but then developing this kind of weird oversaturated dark Power Ranger scene. So what's it like for you guys? Do you think much about like a style, or do you just go with the flow?
That's a good question, I think. To me, it's quite important, because there are many things that work in not in toy photography, but in certain kind of toy photography. I can't approach Pokemon photo the same to a Batman photo because they won't work. Maybe there are quite dark characters in Pokemon that I can take a picture as they were Batman, but not the most. The most they tend to be colorful or soft or more gentle. No? With Saint Seiya or with Super Sentai Power Rangers. Is quite the same. I'm mostly inspired by the shows they appeared. So, in example, in the case of Power Rangers, because I've been recently taking pictures of them, I'm even differencing the shows, the figures, the photos of the figures of the shows from the 90s from the actual shows, because the color correction and the style is different because 30 years have passed. So to me, the 90s look is more washed and kind of dirty and even a little retro look. They were from the 90s, but they look like 80s or end of 70s. And the actual shows from 2016 or similar are more saturated, blacks in their correct point, and more bright and colorful. So I usually take a look to the original shows and try to replicate that.
You're doing an awesome job of replicating the sort of feel of like the 90s Power Rangers, especially with like your kind of poster shots that you're even getting like realistic like creases and like you know, when you're making like the poster, you're making like the realistic looking folds of someone like folding this poster, and also like setting up like
I'm following an account which is Super Sentai Scans, who is always sharing scans from the 90s from the show. And I'm going to replicate and scan as if it was really from the 90s, and I have found inside the case of tape.
But it's even with like your matching of several shots, and so like there was the one with the Red Ranger, I think, holding the power sword, and then you had like the Green Ranger and the Tyrannosaurus and stuff all merged together. Like everything just complemented each other. Like the lighting was like perfect on everything. It looked like this shot had just been done one go. It hadn't been taken in separate like images and merged together. It just looked like one shot. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, it's just amazing seeing like how creative like your Power Ranger shots are compared to like a lot of kind of like normal shots like mine. Mine are all like kind of just like one figure or two figures in like one scene doing something. Yours is like painting a story sort of thing.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it, man.
I'll tell you my secret about that. I do these posters because I don't have a proper scenery to place the figures and create realistic scenes with them. If I can, I try to be so accurate. I like, okay, I'm taking pictures of warriors who are fighting in Tokyo in the 90s. Okay, do I have a scenery that looks like Tokyo in the 90s? No, I haven't. So let me. And I'm quite obsessed with that. I mean, the point. I know that there's people who is more free, mixing the styles, mixing everything, and they work well for them, and they do amazing pictures. But I can't. I'm obsessive, and no, it it have to be Tokyo in the 90s.
Oh, amazing, man.
I think it's more. It came a bit more naturally. And just in all the pictures that I took, it's more the journey to it. And well, I have more like colorful pictures.
Yeah.
It's also a bit, well, like 99% of my pictures are taken outside, so it's always colorful. And I always try to, like what Miguel said, it's more like the feeling that a certain figure Pokemon gives me. So sometimes it's a bit more colorful, sometimes it's a bit darker. It's more like, I try to how do you say that?
Like do the figure like justice of like.
That's the word. Yeah, justice to the figure. Yeah.
Amazing.
And well, I have mine are more colorful, so I tend to have more like dreamy kind of vibe in it. So yeah, it came naturally.
Scott, what about you? How did you get into developing your style, or do you consider yourself having a style and things like that?
I mean, I guess I do. I would have a hard time or a difficult time kind of trying to explain like what that is, though. I just know like there's workflow that I do and, you know, kind of run through it. But I think like Cynthia, like mine was completely like an organic kind of a natural process where over time, like I would just try new things. And then eventually that just became part of something that I would do as I learned more and kind of progressed. And then like, you know, and I always find like, I don't know how you guys are, but like for me personally, like I'll be going along, you know, like taking these shots and working, and then I'll just kind of like have these moments where I just get like really frustrated with where I am, and like then all of a sudden I just start switching things up a little bit and like trying to learn new things or whatever, and then that becomes like adopt that and kind of adapt that into the process. I will say like the one thing that I've kind of done over time, and it's kind of stuck with me even since when I started, is I always try to like work. I'm really particular about a pose. Like, so like, and I mean, that's not to say like all my poses are perfect or whatever, but like it really bothers me if like I'll look at a shot, like I can think of one like I did recently, like this Spider-Man shot, and I look back at it and I see the pose and I'm like, I just didn't get it. I didn't get it right.
Oh yeah.
And it frustrates, and I'll look at that shot and it will frustrate me to no end. So like that's the one thing, like, and you'll see like a lot of these shots, like the poses are similar just because I fall in love with the pose. And like I just kind of want to run with it, and then it's like a safety net. But I guess if there's a style, it's that I just want to put figures in crazy poses. So
I love it.
I guess that's it.
Yeah, man.
I think it's kind of cool to think of it as like each one of us, like we don't really have a whole lot of like voluntary control of what our style like turns out to be. Everyone's brain like works differently, and everyone like has different personal preferences and what they think looks cool and what they don't think looks cool. Then like that kind of just like turns into what your photo is. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like a natural like progression and into what your style becomes. And then also kind of like how Scott was saying, like the way you learn with taking photos and your process constantly changes, and then that also goes into incorporating your style. And then your style just kind of like happens, the combination of all those things together. And so it's like every single person's is so different because of that, just because everyone's mind and their process is changing, and then it just makes a style, which I think is so cool, because I love just being able to look at a photo and being like, that's definitely Scott's photo. Like I don't even have to look at the name. Like that's his person. Like this person. That's really, really cool. But like for my style, I guess like I don't know. I just like with explosives, I guess I think that's just fun in general, just like kind of blowing stuff up, and I like the look of the flashiness. So that's just what I end up wanting to do. You know, it's just a natural. It's organic and natural. Just what kind of like what Cynthia was saying too. Just like it just kind of happens.
And finally, Daniel, how did you develop yours? Because your style is quite like looking at your grid anyway. It all kind of flows and ties together. What made you go that way?
I never really thought about this style, similar to what Jared just said. I think it's probably subconsciously things you pick up during your childhood, the movies you're watching, your environment. There's some programming already going on inside you. And there are certain things I like to do in a certain way, and this comes a style later. Probably you don't realize it at one time. That's my style. That's how I like to do things. But before I was starting with toy photography, I was doing visual art for many, many years. So I think in the last 10, 12 years, I already developed a certain workflow and style and a way to express myself. Because in my daily work, I also need to create a lot of content for my clients. So I have a lot of creative freedom in that regard, and I need to be able to do certain things. And by doing that, automatically there will be my own influence going into this, into the product. So what I'm doing on the photography side is very similar to what I do in my daily work. So I don't think I developed anything specifically for my photography. I just took it over. I know what I like. I like reflections. I like strong rim light. I like silhouette shots. I like to leave a lot of imagination of the viewer. I don't want to expose everything. So that's just what I like. And when I was starting with toy photography, I was looking at YouTube videos of Sergeant Banana, also Jared, and they're doing all those explosive stuff. And I knew that I don't have this environment. I cannot go outside. I don't have firecrackers, but I like those frozen action moments. I really fall in love with it. So I thought, how else can I do this?
So you went the practical kind of.
With flower was working. No issues here, but it was just way too messy for me.
Yeah, we spoke about it before that we've destroyed a lens or two with Flowera.
And then I was starting doing range shots, and I realized, okay, figure out the right settings, the lighting, how I can get the water to pop and shine, and kind of
and you found it.
Yeah.
Class. It's so interesting to hear how everyone's like style developed and how it started. So it kind of leads on to, so outside toy photography anyway, I touched upon it before, I did quite a few events for people. For example, March last year, I was the photographer for Dublin Comic Con in Ireland, which was super crazy. I then got put in touch with an awesome person, Gabrielle, just a little shout out for her, who asked me to help out with photography for the cosplay section for Scotland's like biggest Comic Con, which was just unreal. Really, my question is, do you guys do any photography stuff outside of toy photography like that, or is it strictly just toy photography?
Oh, well, okay. I'm taking filming commercials. Okay, so I think if it counts, you have your answer here.
100%.
But I much prefer toys because they stay quiet and do what I want always.
That's so
much easier. In fact, I think that I feel that I'm doing the things at the opposite order, because it's easier to take pictures on choice, and I think it's the easiest and the greatest way to learn photography, because you can apply all kind of lights, all kind of whatever you want, whatever. It doesn't matter what's your idea, you can do it with toys, and with people it's quite more difficult. But
like the more normal things like landscape, or if you're on vacation, you take some pictures, but like macro shots, but not much next to toy photography.
Yeah,
not really. As I said, I was starting with portrait photography, and then I ventured a little bit into street photography. But these days, besides my family, to go on vacation or we go out, I will bring my gear with me. It's too heavy, and I just want to. The reason I'm doing photography is because I like to do it, and now I'm doing so much photography every day that I don't need to bring it with me when I'm outside. So when I'm outside these days, I want to just enjoy the time with the people around me, so I don't have to search to take pictures with them anymore. As
great answer, man.
I had no other subject to take pictures of, so my family has to start with me. But now I got my fix at home, and then
oh, quality, man.
To be honest, not a whole lot. It's mostly the toys. I mean, as a kid, I always kind of had an interest with like cameras and like filming. Like I used to film like little movies as a kid with my friends and stuff like that. But yeah, it's mostly just the toys. I mean, every once in a while, I'll go and like take photos of like my girlfriend for her Instagram and stuff like that. And I always feel lost. Like I have no idea what I'm doing because I'm a person and not a miniature.
That's because she moves. Because she moves.
That's pretty much it. It's just that, really.
What about you, Scott? Are you quite similar? Just toys, or do you do some shoots?
Yeah, I would say almost like 99.9% toys. I say around Christmas time, I got asked, or my wife got asked, but she couldn't do it, so I had to do it. To take pictures from my oldest daughter's Christmas play.
All right, okay.
So, well, this was It was interesting in the fact that one, the lighting and whatever is completely different than toys, but also like the editing process. It's like, because when I guess when I look at like pictures like that I'm doing, like over the top, you can do whatever you want. The color grading can just be wild. Here you're trying to do like a faithful representation of like, 8-year-olds. So like that was just really kind of weird, just it didn't feel right. Like I had to like go back and like check the color temperature like 5 or 6 times for each shot, and it just took forever. And it's like something I'm like, I don't want to do this for a living. People are, because nobody wants to see their kid look blue, because like I always tend to like really make my shots blue. Like no, you got to introduce warmth. So I was like, no, I'll just stick with the toys.
That's actually amazing you said that. There was one point we done a show. It was like a kind of like a Broadway thing, like, well, I don't know, like an opera kind of thing, like where I live, and we were asked to do the shoot for it, and like they were just shining these total blue and red lights. And then we gave them the finished product, which is okay. But they were like, "Oh, we don't like how blue and red it is." So I was like, "You were shining blue and red lights on these people. There's nothing I can do about that." Like, next time, if you don't want it to be blue and red, shine white lights on them. That's it. So that's quality. So like with like outside toy photography, like you guys actually, 90% of everything now for me is all about toy photography, and that extra 10% is just if I'm doing like gigs for like Comic-Cons and stuff, which is like I mean, it's not like my job in any way. Like I got asked to do it from a friend, and then I got kind of tied in with like doing these photos for Monopoly events, which has just been amazing. I get to meet a couple of like the celebrities that go. So I got to meet like Jason David Frank, who you just don't know, is the Green and White Ranger. And like he was just sick from there. So I got to like a hero for basically no money at all. I didn't have to pay to get in, and I just had to provide photos, which made it even better for me. So that's kind of like my claim to fame when it comes to like event photography.
Scotty, when I start following you, I haven't seen Power Rangers since the 90s, so I didn't know who was whatever Jason Frank, the Green Ranger. So when I first entered your Instagram account, I watched so many pictures of him that I think that this guy was you.
Oh, what? I'll take that. I will take that.
Yeah, and at the same time, I was thinking, oh, and the other guy, he's always posing with the same guy. He must be I don't know, something famous. I think you was the famous person.
Yeah, I'll take that.
That is so funny.
That's made my day. Right, moving along. So let's actually talk a bit more about toys rather than the photography side of it. So those are what we like to shoot. So let's make sure they get their spotlight in this episode. And also something with how different our accounts are is we actually all have quite a diverse taste in toys. So Cynthia, you clearly love Pokemon. Daniel, you have a ton of Marvel and sci-fi. Scott, you have quite the mix going from like Marvel to some awesome animes. Miguel, you have quite a similar taste to mine with the Power Rangers content, and Jared, you have quite the variety too, again, similar to mine, with just a ton more Star Wars added to the mix. So what's in everyone's wish list right now? Like, what are you guys looking forward to coming out?
Power Rangers, yeah, show.
Yes, get in with the Power Rangers.
Yeah. In my wish list, it would be stop collecting. It's something I've been saying to myself from the last 2 years, and I'm close. I'm lying. I never know. But I like I like this kind of photographers that have his favorite figure, and they can take hundreds of photos just on this single figure. And I have so many figures that I can never decide what to do next and whatever. And I know that I like a lot of stuff from Senseiya, Pokemon, Kinnikuman, Power Rangers, Dragon Ball, Batman, lot of stuff.
Yeah,
and I like it all. But I start taking pictures of one topic, and a lot of people start telling me, you have abandoned whatever else. Do the other thing. I'm not in this mood at this time. Wait 1 month or 2 or maybe tomorrow, but I'm not in this mood at this moment. So what I like to find is how do you say, this balance between I have to find correct ideas for all this stuff, and even to be more creative, to start mixing them all, to start mixing Power Rangers with Pokemon. They are all from different colors. They can match. So maybe this can work, and this kind of stuff. Be less is more. It would be my point for a near future.
It's cool that you touch upon like having like such a huge collection, and then like not knowing which like toy to choose, because like I'm quite similar to that. Like I've got loads of Power Rangers, but like I don't think I've got like one toy that I truly like love. Like you get like people with like the Solar Chokugan, like Megazord, which I know if I had that would be like my pride and joy, but it's like so expensive, so I don't think I'll ever like actually own it. But I don't have like a single figure that like I'm super attached to. I'm quite happy at throwing like all my figures in like flour or drowning them and stuff like that. Like I care about them, but not enough to like not blow them up. Like if you ever caught one of my last videos, it was like a Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta that Jared, you've definitely seen this one. I tried to copy Jared with some fireworks. I ended up burning him completely. He melted quite bad. So
good one.
I started taking photos with a wrong approach, I think, because I was thinking just, this figure is great. This figure can look great in this photo. So I took a specific photo of this figure in this pose that I was thinking about, and okay, this figure is done. Next, only one. In fact, maybe I have two photos of Pokemon based on Pokemon Sword and Shield with the Dynamax Pokemon.
I love those. Those shots of yours are amazing.
Yeah, great.
Thanks.
So
I bought the giant Pikachu just to take this picture. And I spent 25 euros just on eBay. This Pikachu looks so menacing. So, I can take this picture. No, okay. Photo taker. What can I do with that? In a box? No. I need to start taking more than one picture of the same figure, please.
Awesome. Yeah. What about you, Jared? What's in your wish list, especially with Hasbro's new update on loads of other figures that are coming out, especially the Power Ranger line?
There's a ton. Like there's so many that I know are coming out that like I pre-ordered that I'm excited for. There's plenty like Stormtroopers and some of those new Power Ranger ones that got revealed yesterday.
Yeah.
And then there's plenty ones that are still like not quite out yet that I would really love to have. Like I think it'd be really cool to have like a 6-inch like Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, I have an old Figma one, but I don't like it very much. But I think we could use one of those. I would love like a Jar Jar Binks figure. I would love one of those. I think some some Megaforce ones would be nice to have. Some good ones of those. There's just an endless amount. And for Pokemon, like I'm collecting all the new ones that are coming out. There's just like a million other ones. At this point, I can't wait. And it seems like they're probably going to do it. Really Cool Toys has been pretty great with coming out with different Pokemon than we're used to, which is cool.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for everything.
Yeah, well, not something specific, because I have like a ton of figures that I still need to photograph. Sure. But like what Jared said, there are like a million Pokemon. So I still have like a complete wish list, but it's too, and they can be quite expensive too. So I'm just waiting to photograph all the figures that I still have before I get some new ones. I think it's better.
Are you planning to buy them all?
Well, I'm not sure.
Well, my son, like, he really wants the Figure Arts Mewtwo. I think it's Figure Arts that do it anyway. I might be wrong on that, but it kind of looks like a Figure Art.
The Mewtwo one.
Yeah, so my son wants it, and I was like, I'll just log on, have a look. I was like, oh, dude, I'm sorry. You're going to have to wait till your birthday for that. It's so expensive.
Which one is it?
It's Mewtwo.
Oh, yeah, that one's nice.
It's
That's really
so
nice.
cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And then, like, I was like, it must only be. I already knew how expensive figure arts can be, but I was like, I'll be like 60 quid, which is for me like a toy for him because he will destroy it. I'm kind of like, Dad, £60, I'll go up to that. And then it was like 110. I was like, sorry, buddy. So I'm gonna figure that at this point.
Figure arts can be really expensive nowadays. I start collecting 3A and then I continue with Hot Toys. So okay, I started on the top of the most expensive figures in history. So when I started getting rid of them because okay, those are really cool, but I much prefer them to be more possible and little to make it in dioramas or they are easier to take photos. I have all the Hot Toys Batman, and I haven't took photos of any because I have my Mesco one, who is 15 centimeters. It's perfect for taking and really possible. None of the Hot Toys Batman can even rotate his head, so it's absurd. But the Mesco one can. So it's for me. This is so nice. But well, I start getting rid of these 1/6 scale figures to get 1/12, and of course they become really cheap. Once you are used to pay even $400 for a figure, paying 50. Give me 5. That's when I tried to buy the Power Rangers, the original team, the Sea Rangers, the classics. They were impossible to find in a decent price. I ended paying €800 for the entire year because it was the way cheaper option to get them. I continue collecting all the entire Super Sentai collections, who are like 37 more figures. I have a lot. I got like almost 50, and these 6 original Power Rangers cost the same like the other 37.
Yeah, it is crazy. They are so expensive. When I got like the SH Figure Arts versions when they first came out, I ended up selling them, which I wish I didn't do, but I did. When they first came out, and they only cost me like 40 quid when it first came out, which is amazing. And then I was like, so I sold a lot of my collections and got into a bit of money troubles quite a few years ago. So that kind of helped out. And I was like, it's fine, I'll buy them again later on. It's fine. And then when I got into like the position where I was like, yeah, I can buy them again. That's fine. I was like, what, £150 for like the Pink Ranger? I'm just not doing it. So, but they are awesome figures. I will give them that.
Yeah, some friends of mine have always recommend me. Are you buying this Saint Seiya figure? No, I don't have plans for him. I don't really like especially this figure. You should buy him, but I don't really want him at this moment. Yeah, but at this moment it's only €90, and in a year he will be 400. So
exactly,
buy it now, and if in 4 years you don't want him, you can sell it. But if you want him in 4 years, you really will regret.
No, exactly.
But of course, I don't have room for more. I have boxes and boxes and boxes of figures. I can't store more.
I think mine really kind of comes down to the upcoming. Now, some people have already gotten them, but like the Hasbro 112 G.I. Joe line.
Oh, cool.
I'm really excited to finally have this, this line in a 112 scale. I grew up with G.I. Joe, so I'm pretty excited about that. I guess, really that's Baron Ben's. I just got a shipping notice for that, so I'm pretty excited about getting that one in hand, kind of playing around some more. But man, really, I think it's funny hearing that you, Scotty, and Miguel, you kind of mentioned this about not knowing what to shoot, having so many figures. I'm kind of the same way. I just have I mean, I have like a ton of figures that I've never even shot before. You know, Cynthia, you mentioned that, and I'm just sitting there and like it really kind of causes me like, you know, I just get like really frustrated, and then I try to force shots and get more frustrated. But like it's like with this GI Joe line, like I especially like of course I just have snake eyes now, but like just with this figure, I don't feel like pressure to like shoot. It's just fun, you know, and like so it's kind of like back to like the early days when it was just, you know, you playing around and just being a kid. So I'm kind of hoping it's the same thing. You know, I kind of anticipate this because you guys, like, you know, you were talking about Power Rangers is obvious passion. You know, you grew up with it. Like that was sort of beyond my age group, like, you know, Power Rangers and stuff, but like GI Joe, Voltron, Transformers and stuff. That's like, you know, right in like, you know, when I was a kid and I had all the toys playing and stuff. So you know, that, and I guess a replacement for like my Figure Arts Mark 85. Not that, you know, like that's new, but I broke it the other day, so I'm all frustrated and really upset about life right now. Yeah, the arm broke. I was like, you know, it's like, you idiot. I was like, I can't believe you did that.
Is it fixable or is it not fixable?
No, it's not. It's not. Man. Especially with Figure Arts, man. They are not the easiest to fix. Yeah. So, yeah, I am.
Oh man,
I was really beside myself the other morning and like just kind of just walked away before.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's like especially the way I'm over there playing with poses and like, you know, bending things probably the way they shouldn't be bent, and this one definitely was like I bent it a way it should not have been, and bad times. But that's it for me, you know, like the GI Joe line. I can name off tons of other ones, but like whatever.
Do you know what I would love to? It's when you mentioned Transformers there, Scott. One thing that I would love if they started making. Do you mind Mask? It was like mobile armored strike.
Oh yeah.
I want them to bring out like proper up-to-date figures of that, because that is one thing
I could deal with like a Miles Mayhem and a Scott Tracker, or Scott and Matt Tracker. I'm thinking of Scott because I actually have the T-Bob and the Scott, like the real little ones. The ones from back in like the 80s, you know.
I tried to start collecting them, but they were just so expensive even now. Like, I mean, and it's not even just like buy it now prices. People are bidding for Mask like items. It's still as big.
Oh no, yeah. If you like look at like the Switch, like Miles Mayhem Switchblade or Matt Tracker's, was it the Tomahawk? I think that's what it was. Those are like in the hundreds. Now I actually have the Rhino. You remember the semi? Yeah. So I bought that like a few years ago. Like I hate to say like when eBay was kind of newer, but before prices went crazy. And like so I still have that one, but like anything else, like the Gator you can still get reasonably. But you know what? I'm sorry. I don't mean to. You guys are sitting there going, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Like honestly, if you haven't watched it, Mask M.A.F.K is amazing. Like even the theme song alone just draws you in. Love it.
Oh man, like just like that whole neon 3D wire. I don't even know how to explain it. I'm not artistic enough to explain it. But if you see it, you know it and you love it. So
it's amazing. Go away, watch it, guys. It's so good. Well, I think I'm actually like we're making some really good time because like I'm actually nearly at like the last like couple of questions. Talking about photography and like gear, being a photographer anyway is not cheap, and then also being a toy collector is not cheap. How important do you guys think actually gear is? So like, do you think it's necessary for people to go out and buy like a good camera to do their toy photography, or is their phone good enough? What are your guys' thoughts on that? For me, I mean, I'm happy with anyone being as creative with anything, whether it's a phone, a camera, a vintage camera, whatever they can take. But like, I know a lot of people get hung up on like gear quite a bit, and they have to have the best of the best. What about you guys? Are you sort of the same? You like having the most upgraded camera sort of thing, or that was a mess of a question, but I'm going to rephrase it as: do you think gear is important when it comes to toy photography? That was so simple that time.
I think that it's not necessarily important. Said that, I have a full frame camera with lots of lenses and lots of lights and everything. But I've been following many people. In fact, I've been following since the last month. This guy last month closed his account. I don't know why. He was taking mobile photos of his Saint Seiya figures, and they were only simple photos of their figures, really well posed in a home environment, in the table, in something. But the attitude of the poses and the angle of the pictures make me think immediately of the series, of the anime. And for me, it was really inspiring, because it was like, oh, I want to order my collection like this guy. Oh, I would like to take a picture, a really cool picture of this character in a pose similar to the one of this guy. And at the end, if you depend only on cameras or on tricks, you are always doing the same. It doesn't tell a story. The same I was doing. I was talking about what I like of your job. Some of your pictures are probably uses the same lens, and only with a lens and a camera and the light from a window, or in case of Cynthia of the street or the field, you can take amazing photos.
Yeah.
I started taking photos because I was sharing via WhatsApp. Do you use WhatsApp in your countries?
Yeah.
WhatsApp, similar to Line or this kind instant message free.
Oh,
I started taking mobile photos to share poses and photos of my collection with my friends. I then upgraded and started taking more serious photos. But people likes this immediate feeling of what is simple. Simple light, simple whatever. If the figure is well posed, and I think that all toy photographers tend to pose really well, really nicely their figures, I think it's the most important.
Cool. Yeah, no, definitely.
No, I totally agree with Miguel. I think, well, gear, it's more like, for me, it's more important to have fun while taking the shots, and also, well, gear can help you with taking the photo, but it's not the most important thing to have. Like, you have to need the newest full frame camera to take a good shot. I think it's more important to have fun and just experience the photo, and like with what Miguel said, like the pose and everything. I think the story is more important than the gear.
Story is definitely king when it comes to it.
I want to say another thing. I bought a lot of Lume cubes. These Lume cubes, the cube lights, of course. These tiny lights. Okay, I bought 4 of them because I saw that all the photographers I liked used them, and I thought that it was more practical to have tiny lights more than my real size lights for real people who they don't fit in my living room. But in example, creating my recent Batman photos, I noticed that because I just wanted to take the photo and finish soon and start editing. Okay, I want cold light here, red light from this, main light from top, and I have this idea in my head. So I put the camera in a tripod, I put the light in one side, took the photo, the other, the top, all, and then I merge all the layers in Photoshop with the lighten. I think it's lighten or a screen effect, and well, it's the same as if you had all these lights lighting at the same time. And I spent much less time because I was just taking several pics, different lights. I want his eyes to be dark, okay, but but I want to see this triangular shadow in the
on the cowl.
I want the cape to be with a backlight. Okay, so I took those different pictures, mix them in Photoshop in 30 seconds, and okay, next photo.
Yeah.
I think that you can have 4, 5, 10 lights, but with just one, you can do a lot of stuff.
Oh, I was gonna say, I mean, I have like a giant like duffel bag that I bring with me everywhere, just like full of crap and gear that I don't always use, but I like having. But I think it really just comes like you could use a phone and like even the most basic figure, and as long as you're like able to get that right angle and with the right light, you don't even need to buy a light. You could use the sun. It's free light. You can use it. It's free. And as long as you have all of those things correctly, you can make the most beautiful photo ever that you wouldn't even know you used a phone. But then again, like it's not terrible having like some cool loom cubes or a really nice tripod. It does help bring it to that level. So like having either or is cool. And I like also if you're using just like a phone and or just like really easy and easily accessible items, it kind of makes like your photos like more relatable almost, so people see them and are like, oh, well, I could do that. If it's just that, I could do that. And then like it helps kind of influence other people too.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Great answer.
I mean, it certainly helps having, like the loom cubes and all that stuff. And but honestly, I think, like Miguel was saying, I've taken a lot of shots where you just kind of move the light around and just had like one single source or maybe just one light. And the pictures, they come out just fine. You see a lot of guys, I know like Tayo, Rindy's Toys, those guys do a lot of light painting where they're using their cell phone to light up a scene and they're doing slow shutter speeds and whatnot. And you look at these pictures and they're amazing. And I mean, I don't know what they're editing in, but I know a lot of the guys, especially like I see it on the figure arts page, where they're using their cell phone to edit these pictures too. Yeah. Inspired by Andre. Like you look at him, he's using like LED strips. And you look at these and then you see the end result, and the end result, they're just gorgeous. Yeah. It doesn't take like a lot of expensive lights and like a lot of expensive lenses. Like one of my favorite lenses is like a cheap Canon 50, a 50 millimeter.
Yeah, same.
I think it's like the f1.8 one. The first one I ever really bought, like additional, you're talking like $150 lens, but it's a prime. It takes amazingly sharp pictures. And you're sitting there, I was like, I don't need to spend $1,500 on a new 50 millimeter. Yeah. When this right here, I mean, maybe I can't step it down to f1.2 and get that crazy bokeh like like everyone else can, but it's a great lens, So it's a lot of it's just doing a little research and sometimes just getting lucky, Yeah, exactly. It really kind of comes down to is like, what can you do with what you have? Now, that being said, I mean, like I am gonna like make fun of myself because like you'll see these behind the scenes. I have like 50 lights. And I get people make fun of me all the time, but I do. Like I'm very inefficient with these things, so I just throw light at like a situation. Thoughtful application and just knowing how to work with like the tools that you have. You can create like just I don't know. I don't think it necessarily comes down to having the best gear.
What's
a vision?
What's the most the F number, the stop you use the most for your pictures? Because you said I have this 1.8 50 millimeters, but of course you're never using a 1.8 to take a picture of a tiny figure.
I will say, like with my 100, it only goes down. It only, like I shoot wide open for the most part, and I think it's like f2.8. That's that one. The 50 I have been using is like a lens that a coworker lent me. I think it's like the f 1.4, so it's like the step down from the the 1.8. But typically, like that almost like when I shoot wide open with that, it's just too soft. So I think like lately I've been getting into like around the probably in the 2.8 range. Anything above that, it just looks weird to me. I get way too much background, and I feel like whatever. But I'd be curious what Daniel is shooting, just because like like the pictures he's he's been putting out lately have just been incredible. So
Yeah, sure. I agree with what everyone says. For me personally, gear is not the most important, but definitely is important. Some gear, for example, for me, it's very important to have a stable tripod. Um, I am taking multiple pictures and layer them later, so I need to have pixel precision in each shot that I take. And I have a wooden floor here, so it's creaking a little bit. And if I wouldn't have a really good tripod, I would need to do too much adjustment in Photoshop.
Yeah.
I was starting, as I said in the beginning, I was inspired by those freeze action moments. So I knew I need to go 1,000 or even higher. And to go that high with my shutter speed, I knew I need strong lights, and I didn't have strong lights in the beginning. So I was shooting 1/400, 1/300, and the rain was just way too soft and streaky, and that's not where I wanted to go. So the first thing I was saving was money for lights. So lights was really important for me. I definitely overbought into lights because I was adapting a different workflow later on. But lights super important. I don't shoot outside. I want to be in complete control. The first thing I do is I try to get my camera like capturing a black image, and then from there on, I turn on lights and I go. So I need absolute control. I don't want to see anything when I start taking my pictures. I want to take the light and say, okay, you go here and nowhere else. So light's super important to me.
Yeah.
Camera, I'm happy with what I have. I don't think I will update my camera in the next 10 years, so that's not important to me to have the latest of the latest.
Yeah.
It's important for me to have a computer because I'm using Photoshop. So that's also an important gear to have, but do I need the fastest computer on the planet? Definitely not. It's fine what I have. So yeah, gear is important, but it's not important to have the top of the line. Yeah.
Oh, awesome, man. This actually brings us to pretty much the end of the episode. I don't have any further questions, but what I do want to say is just a huge thank you to all you guys for joining in on this. And I would say my hosting skills aren't right there yet, but I mean, I had so much fun with this one. It's been awesome. And
your host skills are great.
Oh, thanks. You're too kind. Too kind. Yeah. I think it's like with future episodes going down, this will get a lot more easier. This is like something completely out of my comfort zone, but I love meeting all you guys, especially that I followed for ages. So it's just super cool getting to speak to you guys on this sort of level and find out what you guys do with your shots, how you guys feel about certain things, and it's just been awesome. So thank you so much for being part of this episode too. And what I think we might just do is just go around everyone and just, if you want to say your handle.
I'm Cynthia, and you know me by the name of Starnovelty on Instagram.
Just want to say first, it was really a pleasure talking to all of you guys. Really amazing seeing you, and Scott, really amazing to see your face instead of just the socks. So now I know how you look like. And you can find me on Instagram as Unicorn Warrior.
I'm Scott. I go by Scott.Bline. And I also would like to say it's been really cool seeing everyone. I mean, we've known each other more or less for the last few years. Some less time or whatever. It's just real. We always talk about community, like in our toy community, and I think it's pretty awesome now that when we chat, I feel like I definitely know you a lot better, know you guys a lot better. Yeah. So hello, and it was wonderful meeting everyone, and thank you for having me on.
Like Scott was saying, like it is really cool. Like now I'll never really see any of your shots the same way again. Like I'll see your shot and I'll be like, I talked to that person. That was really cool. And like, yeah, I really feel like I actually know everyone now. That's really cool. But you can find me. I'm Sirdork730 on Instagram and YouTube and pretty much any social media for that matter.
I'm Miguel from Plasticrealms, and it's a real pleasure to be here with these crazy guys. And I like to say hello to all the crazy guys who are also following me. and I hope to continue meeting new people and knowing their faces, like in your case.
Thank you so much for joining in. This has been an awesome episode 2, and I can't wait to get to edit. And I'm so glad this one didn't go over like 2.5 hours like the last one did, because that was super difficult to edit. I didn't actually edit much yet, so this one is going to be super, super easy. Thank you so much again, and take care, and I'll catch up with you all soon.
See you later.
Have a great day.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.